Alright. What is up, my YouTube people? Much love for following, liking, sharing, and continuing to follow me on my journey as I start this as a home business and hopefully grow it into a very big business that is reliable. You guys are seeing everything from the jump, seeing everything being sterile, and all the work that I put into everything. So, update for the cordyceps militaris. Everything on the agar seems to be, as a matter of fact, let me take this off. Everything on the agar seems to be fine and dandy. Nothing looking to be of any contamination. Same thing for this one. And you can see the little hue pigment change that is definitely cordyceps militaris because it was starting to turn orange right there. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm trying to focus in on it, but pretty much you guys get the gist. You see that little orange spot right there. Definitely cordyceps militaris. And you will see that in your agars as, for one, for germination, but two, you want to see that it's turning slightly orange. That's how you know, for one, you got cordyceps militaris, and two, that it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. This one is the reishi mushroom, and these are already growing up on the sides. Perfect. No contamination, no nothing. Real strong genetics. And these were from old syringes too, so I think I got those from North Spore, so shout out to North Spore. And these are really good genetics, so reishi mushroom, cordyceps. Now let's check on the cordyceps militaris. So as we can see, there's a little mycelium thing growing on the top, so that's a good sign. And the mycelium's at the bottom. Now, I'm willing to trust that this did its job for one to two reasons. One, none of my cordyceps militaris agars show any contamination. I cooked this off. I did everything the right way. Same thing as I did with the agars. So there's nothing wrong with the genetics. No contamination that's in the vial as I'm squirting. So I do believe, after heavy consideration, that this is totally more cordyceps militaris at a healthy liquid culture jar. So what I'm going to do, just to keep this strain going, is boom. Shred it into little pieces as best I can. I actually need to look for my stir plate and my magnetic stir bars. But I always notice that even with the old jar cordyceps that I had, that it always leaves a little floating lily pad at the top when they start really growing mycelium up in here. It's really meaty and chunky. So, as you seen earlier, it was really clear, but now it's murky, and I totally think that these are sediments of the cordyceps, all just broken up together. There's some that stuck together and became big chunks, but a lot of them are staying a little sedimenty, because after this settles and all that, it drops back to the bottom and it becomes one big mycelium chunk again. So this is all clean cordyceps to me. I'm probably going to do a test run. I have all my ingredients, rice. I just ordered this is going to be my method. And I've been using my AI app to search the internet and generate all the information. And it tells me this is actually a genius method that To make my cordyceps militaris, I'm going to be using soy baby formula as a protein and like other nutrients, and it says that's great. I'm going to use malt extract, and then I'm going to use nutritional yeast as the nutrient broth to make my cordyceps. So soy baby formula from Similac, malt extract for the sugar and carbohydrates, nutritional yeast for whatever that is for. I forgot. I don't always remember everything, but it does need that. And soy is for the protein. That's for the carbohydrates, which is the malt extract, and the nutritional yeast is just for like extra nitrogen, and I believe that's what it's for, and nutritional compounds that the mushrooms will eat up. So it says that that's actually a very smart, genius way to get over on having to use a protein that is like a milk base, or like people use eggs, and without it clumping, or like you cook eggs, it's going to turn into scramble. So you don't want your broth to end up still having those chunkier parts, and then your cake just turns into an egg cake, and then it just makes easier to contaminate. So the soy is easier to break down and be fluid like liquid once it's broken down and stirred up into the water. So it's a good protein powder form that won't clump up or cause contamination as much as the other routes. So now what I'm gonna do is put these in the fridge, and as you can see, my other genetics are up in here doing fine. This is the newest one, it's cordyceps. This one is the lion's mane, big mycelium chunk, all the agars, the new agars, and all my strains in the original injection needles or syringes that I had. So once again, stay tuned. I have all my equipment. I just need to set up my lab tent in my room, and then it's going to look like a real professional gig going down up in here. That way I can work in a sterile work environment where I leave it clean. I don't have to worry about mold spores going up in there. I'm going to close all the airways and just leave open enough airspace for it to, when I turn this on in there, it's going to blow the air out and keep it at a positive ratio, so that way, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but you want your air so that way when you're opening up the tent and going in, that it's blowing air out, and there's no chance for mold spores to try to push their way in because the airflow is pushing out. That's what you want, if it makes sense. But stay tuned. I'm about just ready. I'd say by this weekend I'm going to be up and ready to start my business, start cooking off. I got all the autoclaves, the 941 All-American pressure cooker, which they said is the best version to use for these, and to also cook off larger batches of grain spawns and growing blocks and fruit mediums, all your mushroom needs. So very excited to get this going, and keep staying tuned because you're going to see this process keep growing and growing. So I much appreciate and thank everybody for liking, following, staying tuned, subscribing, sharing, giving comments of what your journey was and how you did things. If you see something that I could do different, or if you like the way I'm doing it and it's helping you do yours, all good comments, even negative ones. I take good criticism because I like to learn and keep going forward, you know what I'm saying? So thank you to everybody, and stay tuned.